Hi, I'm Marshall. I'm the owner of Going Gear, and I'm here in our store in Smyrna, Georgia. Today we're going to take a look at the Going Gear exclusive Benchmade 940-1701.
All right, here we are with the knife that I'm really excited to show you guys and talk to you guys about. It is Going Gear's first exclusive Benchmade. So this is the Benchmade 940-1701. Only available from us, so that is a pretty cool thing to get. You know, a lot of people think we're a pretty small shop, and we are. We're definitely a small business, relatively small amount of employees. So having a Benchmade exclusive is super exciting for us. And this is our first one. We've actually got some more planned, but those are probably a little ways out because the process takes a while. I actually started the process of getting an exclusive from Benchmade a few years ago now. You know, getting them to agree to make one for us in the first place, just fitting it in with their production and everything. It takes a little bit of time, and then figuring out what we wanted and what they could make or would make takes some time as well. You know, I had some pie-in-the-sky ideas and kind of threw them at them, and they said, no, those are not really feasible, or they're going to be ridiculously expensive knives. And I said, okay, so we kind of toned it down, and they sent me some ideas. They sent me some ideas of things that they could do or materials they're starting to work with, and we settled on this guy right here. So this is the Benchmade 940-1701, has red C-Tek inlays, red barrel spacers, red thumb stud. I really like the idea of the black with the red. I thought it was a really cool color combination, and maybe in the future we're going to do some similar ones with some other color combinations. So I'd also love to see a blue one and a green themed one, and maybe we'll even go on from there. But this is the first one, so we've got black and red. Basic specs on the knife. I'm going to look over at my computer screen because I can never remember all of them off the top of my head. So obviously the mechanism, you've got that Benchmade axis lock on here, ambidextrous, super strong, awesome locking system. We'll get into that a little bit more later. Blade style, reverse tanto is what Benchmade calls this. Blade steel on this is CPM 20CV. They harden it to 59 to 61 on the Rockwell scale. Really nice steel. We'll talk about that a little bit better later as well. Contour G10. So if you're familiar with the 940-1 or 940-2 or the 940 itself, you know that they have a distinct contour pattern or a distinct machining pattern, and they went away from that on our version of the 940 just to accommodate the C-Tek and help it all flow and feel a little bit better. And I really like the way it turned out. So you've got the black G10, and then you have the red translucent C-Tek inlay, and then hard anodized red barrel spacers, and then the thumb stud, and then an arrow reversible pocket clip. So you can put the pocket clip on the other side if you want to. So specifications on the knife, you are at 3.4 inches on the blade length, 0.115 inches on the thickness. Open length is 7.87 inches. Closed length, you're at 4.47 inches. Handle thickness, 0.465 inches. And the weight is 2.49 ounces. So a pretty lightweight, slim, sleek knife. Just like, again, the 940 and the 940-1 and the 940-2. I was actually in the process of making a 940-2 video when they said that these were going to be shipping within a reasonable time frame. So I said, hey, why not just include a mini review of all of these at the same time? Since a lot of people have been asking us how they compare. The first time we actually had these was at the NRA convention here in Atlanta. We were Benchmade's dealer for the show, and they were able to get us a small amount of these for the show. So this is the first time we were showing it. So we already have a lot of the questions that customers have been asking. We know what people have been asking, and I wanted to include those answers in this video as well. Since, again, we've had these for a few weeks. This isn't something that I just got in today, which I tend to do for a lot of my videos, is I get it in and I try to make a video as quickly as possible. I know my subscribers are shaking their head and saying, Marshall, you don't do that at all. You take forever to make videos. But that's the idea, at least. That's what I attempt to do. So anyway, compared to the other two versions of the non-aluminum handled anyway, I didn't have one of the aluminum ones at home. I forgot to bring one home. Well, we've got the G10, we've got the carbon fiber. You can see they're still pretty much the same knife. The big difference that you're going to get is obviously the coloring on it, obviously the inlay, but the big difference is going to be in the contour of the handle. So instead of having these machine grooves and this flat surface and that machining, you've got a more rounded, contoured handle on there, which, not to say that this was uncomfortable by any means, but I like this a lot more. I just like the contouring on it. I like the rounded contoured handles on any of my knives, so I find this super, super comfortable to hold. Other than that, of course, the design and the features and everything are going to be very, very similar. This is something that Benchmade has developed recently, is the ability to anodize their thumb studs as well. So I don't know if this is the first one, but this is one of the first ones with colored thumb studs on there. And they've done colored back spacers before, obviously, because these two have them on there. You've got the blue, you've got the green, we've got red on there, and I thought it'd be really cool to have a matching thumb stud as well. So we've got that. Not on the Axis lock. That hasn't come quite yet. Maybe on our next version, we'll get them to include that as well. You've got the black hardware in there. I thought it went really well with the black and red of the handle. Slightly different pocket clip, so we went with the Arrow pocket clip instead of Benchmade standard clip. I like the Arrow pocket clip. It slides in the pocket really easily. You can, of course, still swap them out for the other versions of the pocket clips if you happen to not like the Arrow one. And like I said, it's not going to come with scuffs on the pocket clip from the factory or when you buy it from us, because this has been my EDC. I tend to brush up against things on a constant basis, and I get little scuff marks all over my knife. But still, it's held up very, very well. So got those other two out of the way. Let's talk more about our exclusive, the 1701. So that Axis lock on there, if you're not familiar with the Axis lock, it is my favorite locking system out there. It's super easy to use. It's ambidextrous, so you don't have to worry about a right hand versus a left hand knife like you do with a liner lock or a lock bar or anything like that. It's very easy to use, and it's very hard to accidentally disengage. I've actually never heard of a customer doing that. I suppose you could accidentally get it caught on something and have it come back, but you have to, as you can see, you can't really disengage it with one finger. So something brushing up against your knife while you're using it is not really going to disengage. You've got to have two fingers, or your thumb and your finger on there, to disengage it, and that makes it a very secure locking system. It's a very strong locking system, and you can see no side to side, no up and down blade play on this. It actually came pretty tight from the factory, and I loosened up a little bit, and still no blade play on there at all. So you got a super strong, really easy to use locking system. Another really nice feature about Axis lock knives is there's a lot of different ways to open them. So you can obviously just open it up with your thumb. You can flick it out with your thumbnail, but you can also disengage the lock. You just pull back on the lock, and then you can flick the knife out. So there's a lot of really easy ways to open and close the knives. You can see it's all one-handed if you want it to be. Very fast, very easy. That's why I'm a really big fan of the Axis lock, and so many other people are a big fan of the Axis lock. That's why Benchmade uses it on so many knives, not just because it's their patent and they have the ability to use it on a bunch of their different knives, but it's a really good locking system, so it makes sense for them to use it across the line. So when we decided to get an exclusive, something with an Axis lock was definitely the way to go. The 940 is my favorite design of Benchmade's, and before the 940-2 came out, the 940-1 was actually our best-selling Benchmade. Now it is the 940-2, but because we have an exclusive and we have a whole lot of these coming in, this one was going to be our bestseller going forward for sure. Some other information on there. So C-Tek. C-Tek, if you're not familiar with that, it is a metal honeycomb structure. I believe it's actually aluminum. Maybe somebody can correct me or verify me in the comments. But it's a honeycomb structure that they inject with a resin. So you get these sheets of it that you can then shape just like G10 or just like micarta. So what they did is they put an inlay in there, and that allows it to be shaped along with the handle. You've got a couple of screws in there that actually hold the C-Tek in place, so you can remove it if you want to. I'm sure there's some aftermarket guys out there that are already looking at this and saying, hey man, we can make some pretty cool inlays for these. You have that ability to do that if you want to do that. I don't know what that will do to the warranty. I don't think that'll affect your warranty, but just keep in mind that, altering or messing with your knife, that can mess with the warranty if you do decide to go with anything on the aftermarket route. You can take the thumb studs off as well. You can take the barrel spacers out, replace them with a different color. If you happen to have a different color, you have one of the other 940 models, you can do that if you want to. The hardware is really easy to remove. You've got torque screws all over the place, really easy to adjust. If you want a tighter blade, you want it to not flick open like that, you can tighten it down. If you want it to be able to easily open, put a drop of blue lube in there, your other knife lubricant of choice, and loosen up the pivot a little bit. Just make sure there's no blade play on there, and you can get a super smooth, really easy to use action. The pocket clip is reversible. I always have it on this side just because I naturally pull it out of my pocket. You know, you've got it in your pocket like that, and when I pull it out, it's in my hand the right way. But you can reverse it if you want to carry it in a different pocket or if you want to have it on the other side for any reason. Again, it's just Torx screws. They're really easy to remove and move, so you can put them on the other side if you want to. So the blade shape on here is what Benchmade calls a reverse tanto. Tantos I find totally impractical. I think they look super cool, but I don't carry tanto blade shapes just because they're not a very practical all-around blade shape for me, for my purposes at least. I don't generally go around stabbing a lot of things, and that is what tantos are great for. Maybe guys are out there stabbing samurais on a daily basis. I don't know. There's definitely a use case for tantos, but for me, I like things with some belly in them, with some curvature, without those straight lines. And also I find blades like this easier to sharpen and easy to maintain, and just all around more useful for me personally. So I really like this blade shape. It works really well. It's nice and slim and sleek. It's easy to carry in the pocket, and you don't have this big honking chunker of a knife that weighs down your pants or is just, you know, not very practical for daily cutting purposes, which I actually use my knife on a daily basis. I actually went back and forth on making this video with the condition that it was in when I pulled it out of my pocket right before I started making this video. And I decided that probably wasn't a very good representation of the brand and my store and the knife itself, because it was covered with tape gunk and everything, covered with dirt, and I blew it out and I got the gunk off the blade. Obviously, I couldn't do anything about the pocket clip without replacing it. But I use my knives on a daily basis, and I like the slim, the sleek, the things that can actually slice through things, the more utilitarian blade shapes, the things that are easy to carry. Again, that's totally a personal preference. If you like the big honking folders, we have a ton of those as well. Benchmade makes several of them. You have that option if you want it. Blade steel on here is 20 CV instead of the S30V that they use on the regular 940-2. I wanted something with a little bit higher performance, so we put the 20 CV on there to give it some better edge retention and just some better properties. I like 20 CV. I've had it on a couple other knives, and it holds up really well. Takes an edge like crazy. You get a super sharp edge on there. From the factory, they actually got a nice solid edge on there, and we're really happy with the performance of it so far. Take a look at the different parts of it. Got some nice jimping up there to help keep your thumb in place. Really great ergonomics on this knife. That's probably why it's been so popular for so long. It looks good. It feels good. It's just a really well-designed knife. But you got the jimping up there. You can bump your finger up there, your thumb up there if you want to do that. Got some additional jimping down here. Help keep your finger in place. So you got the jimping up by the blade. You've got some additional machining, contouring here on the back to help hold your palm in place. It's a really comfortable knife to hold. Just overall, it's so slim and sleek. You got the nice contours. You got the nice jimping on there. It's just comfortable to hold. Even squeezing down on it, the pocket clip doesn't even really give me a hot spot. I used this quite a bit over the past few weeks, and I found it just really comfortable to use. Again, just like the existing 940 models, they're all really comfortable to use, which is probably a big reason why they've been so popular for so long. They're just really well-designed knives. So a lot of people have already asked, why the red? Why'd you go with red instead of just your black blade, satin handle kind of knife? And for one thing, well, it already existed. So I didn't want to do something that already existed because, well, Benchmade wouldn't let me. They're obviously not going to give you an exclusive of something that they already make. But I wanted something that was different. I wanted something with a pop of color. And granted, this probably goes beyond a pop with an entire inlay in the handle. But once we kind of decided on the direction we were going and the model we wanted to do, they showed me some options, and this was one of them. And I thought it looked really good. I loved the combination of the red C-Tek with the black handle and then the red hardware on there. I just thought it looked really neat. And it wasn't your typical, again, black blade or black handle satin blade knife. It was something different, and that's the route I wanted to go. So I'm excited that they were willing to do this, and we actually got it made and produced and everything because it's something different for Benchmade as well. You know, the C-Tek inlay, that's something that they've only done previously on gold class knives. So you're talking about $700-800+ knives where they would do the C-Tek inlay. So having this on a production model, albeit limited, you know, exclusive to us, is a pretty big deal. So I was excited about that, them willing to do an inlay like this on a something that wasn't a gold class. So everything kind of fell into place, and I think it worked out really well. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So before I wrap up, I want to talk a little bit more about the different versions. So obviously you have the 940-1701 Going Gear exclusive. You have the 940-2 G10 handle S30V blade. Pretty much the same knife other than the materials. Obviously in terms of the design, I really like this knife. I actually carried one of these myself for a while before I found out that we were going to be able to get these. And man, it's just, I don't know, I might like it more than the 940-1, which is the other version available. One of the big reasons, I just really like the feel of G10, and it feels really good in the hand. I really like the green backspacers, but I also carried a 940-1 for a while. So these two are definitely neck and neck for me. You've got the awesome blade steel on the 940-1. You've got the S90V, super high performance steel. S30V is obviously still a very high performance, great steel. Carbon fiber versus G10, totally a personal preference. And obviously a significantly lower price point on the 940-1. So when we did this one, we wanted to kind of come in between these, come in with a super solid steel, the 20 CV, and then give it the really nice accents with the C-Tek and the red hardware. I like that we got the additional pop of red. All right, so that is the Benchmade 940-1701. You obviously can only buy it from me at goinggear.com, or you can come into the shop or go to the shows, the few shows we do a year. We'll have them everywhere we can because we love the knife. There's already a few of us that are carrying these, and we've been super happy with it. We're very thankful to Benchmade for working with us on this. Again, we're a pretty small dealer, so getting them to do an exclusive for us was awesome, and big thanks to them for doing that. We will probably have these, I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's going to depend on how popular they are and how well they sell, but I imagine we'll have them for about a year. If Benchmade will allow me to, I would love to work in some other exclusives while we have these. You know, maybe every year or so, bring in a new exclusive. And if they keep on selling, then we'll probably keep on asking Benchmade to make them for us. But right now, as of the time of this video, we have a pretty healthy amount of them in stock. We're going to be getting them in regular shipments. This isn't something that's going to be going away right away. Again, I plan on keeping this for about a year. So if you have any questions about the knife, definitely let me know in the comments. As always, get going and start something. Thanks for watching.